Welcome to Energetic Advantage, the podcast where energy isn't woo, it's your edge. I'm your host, Jessica Serrato, intuitive strategist, lifelong pattern decoder, lover of numbers, and energetic guide for visionary leaders. Around here, we go energy first, strategy second. Every episode will give you a perspective, a tool, or a timeline shift that helps you lead from your power. Because the truth is, your energy is your most undervalued asset until you learn how to use it. Get ready, you're about to have the advantage. Let's begin. Welcome to the very first episode of Energetic Advantage. I can't believe I'm finally getting to say that out loud. I've been feeling, thinking, talking about this podcast for years, not because I needed something else on my plate, but I've been feeling and now knowing that the way that we lead, create, and succeed is shifting. And the people that are going to thrive from here on out are those who learn to work with their energy before they ever touch their strategy. And that's why I'm so excited to be on this journey with you. This show exists because energy is the new competitive advantage. And today, I'm going to start with a little bit of a backstory, how I figured this out the long way, so you don't have to, and why sometimes, even when I know what my energetic advantage is, I choose not to use it. This is going to be important for you as you really lean into your own energetic advantage and what that means for you moving forward. So as I walk you through today, I'm also going to highlight the energetic advantages I was unknowingly using and the ones that I started to spot in others long before I ever called myself an energetic strategist. And so by the end of today's episode, you're going to understand where this work comes from, what an energetic advantage actually is, why it matters, and how to start identifying your own and using it. So let's go. I wish that I always had this knowing, and maybe in some ways I did, but I didn't grow up saying, one day I'm going to do numerology and energetic strategy. I grew up seeing the world in patterns. So before I even had the words, I had the geometry. And before I had the language, I had the knowing. I could see shapes in people's behaviors. I identified rhythms in how things unfolded. And numbers always made sense to me, not just mathematically, but energetically. It kind of felt like geometry was my music, equations, figuring out how to balance things was very soothing for me. And pattern recognition was just automatic. I remember watching adults when I was little and thinking, they're saying the thing that they're actually thinking. Why? I could feel timelines. I could sense when something was about to shift before there was evidence. And, my intuition wasn't loud. It was just correct. I didn't know it then, but that was my first energetic advantage. I don't just follow the path in front of me that I could see. I can see the unseen field. I can see the moment before the moment, the shift before the shift, the thing that's off, even if everything looks perfect from the outside. And I really thought that everyone saw that until I realized that they didn't. And so in the course of, as you do, trying to figure out the age-old question, what are you going to do when you grow up? I studied math and finance, and I was on the fast track to Wall Street, the supposed holy ground of numbers, precision, performance. But here is kind of this plot twist. Even though I could do the math in my sleep, I wasn't actually studying the markets. I was studying people, how they reacted, how timing influenced everything, and how fear and confidence, those feelings, moved faster than the money, moved faster than the spreadsheet. And it didn't take me long to realize that I wasn't here to chase the returns, to sort out the numbers, the money. I was actually here to study human rhythm. And where this really hit, it was in my final semester of university, and I was in this course, Bond Stocks and Derivatives. So exciting. I mean, at that time it was. And we had this project where we were each given the same amount of money. It was on we weren't actually trading, but we were on a learning platform. And the goal was to make the most and have the highest percentage of return, and there would be a winner in the class. And I remember doing the most un-Wall Street thing imaginable. I started doing all of this trading, and I was maybe in the top 5, and I noticed who was in the top spot. And I'm laughing if these old friends are actually listening, but Tony was in the number 1 spot, and Dave was in the number 2. And no matter how much I tried to study the numbers, I realized that it wasn't about me and the numbers. It was about just beating the people in my class. And so everyone right in the morning, we'd be on the quad or in the cafe, in the Eagle's Nest, and everyone would open their computers and check the markets, right? We didn't have smartphones at this time. And instead of doing that, I would watch how Tony reacted. I would watch how Dave reacted. And in those moments, I knew exactly what I wanted to short sell or trade that day because I could feel their energy and I knew what they were going to do next. And in that final semester, spoiler, I won. I then decided to do something that shocked a lot of people. I booked a contract on a cruise ship. Not because I was running away from Wall Street, but because I really wanted to observe people in their natural habitat, like outside of work, stripped of titles, no KPIs, away from the intensity of the market. And honestly, this is where my gifts really woke up. When you're watching thousands of people from all over the world move through the same space with no responsibility except to be themselves, you really start to see the patterns that no one talks about. You see how an energy can move through a crowd, and you can see how you can manipulate that energy from the stage. You can see who leads without saying a word, right? You can see who harmonizes, who disrupts, who stabilizes, who opens doors, who closes them. And it was my first field study. And it was really in that time that I realized that I'm wired to track energy, timelines, patterns, and people all at once. So that was my early energetic advantage. I don't just see the data, I see and feel the energy underneath it. I didn't quite know it yet. I wish I did, but it was there. When I came back to land, as they say, after 7 years of working on a cruise ship, I entered corporate. Payroll, operations, audits, not exactly where people expect energetic gifts to thrive. But this is, ironically, where my energetic advantage really started to sharpen. Because when you're responsible for tens of thousands of paychecks, millions of dollars, deadlines that can't be missed, spotless audits, and teams of people who rely on your ability to see what's coming, I mean, that's a playground for your energetic advantage. Your intuition doesn't disappear. It actually becomes your greatest asset. And, people would ask me, how are you so fast? Like, how did you catch that before it even broke? Like, how did you know what was coming? And at first, I would say, I don't know, I just knew. Then I started to try to reverse engineer and try to prove to myself why I knew. But that felt like a waste of time for me because here what was really happening. I wasn't fast. I was ahead. So, this is still true in my work today. I don't walk beside people. My energy doesn't walk beside you. It moves ahead, it grabs the insight, and it brings it back. And that's why my clients always joke saying like, hey, like, Jess, you answered the question I didn't even know to ask yet. That's energetic advantage. And so corporate was my boot camp for starting to recognize energetic advantages in others. And I encourage you just to feel into this into your own life, right? Looking around you at the people that surround you, either in your personal life, in work, in your business, do you notice what their energetic advantage is? I knew exactly who the fixers were, who the finishers were, who were the translators, who were the stabilizers, who were the visionaries, who operated intuitively, and who operated analytically. And I didn't, again, have the language yet, but the system was forming. And the turning point for me wasn't dramatic. It's not like I woke up one day and said, oh, I know exactly what this is. I remember someone asked me for clarity around a decision, and I gave them a specific, precise timeline, and it landed like perfectly to the date. And then it happened again and again and again until I realized, this isn't luck. This isn't coincidence. This isn't just a Jessica thing. This is a vocation. I wasn't on a path to become an energetic strategist. I was finally naming what I already was. All of the numbers, the patterns, the intuition, the geometry, the timelines, all the pieces suddenly fit. And so when we feel into this, everyone's energetic advantage is different. And here's the cleanest definition that I can come up with. An energetic advantage is the built-in way that your energy moves, perceives, and impacts the world. It's the thing that makes success feel effortless when you actually use it, and it feels draining when you fight it. That's why whenever I actually tried to quote unquote figure it out and make it make sense on paper, I was exhausted because I was fighting against the energetic advantage. Every person has one. Yes, I said what I said. You have one. Every single person has it. But most people are ignoring theirs because they've been conditioned to kind of focus on their weaknesses. Okay. So here's how you can start to identify or really solidify your energetic advantage. It typically shows up in three ways. The three P's, right? Perception. What is it that you notice that others miss? Your pace, your natural energetic speed, like your internal rhythm. And then positioning, where you create your biggest impact with the least effort. And when you use your energetic advantage consciously, when you use your perception, your pace, and your positioning, you stop trying to be who you're not and start amplifying who you already are. And during this season on the podcast, you're not only going to explore your energetic advantage, but you're also going to get a front row seat as leaders from across a variety of industries are going to explain what theirs is and how they use it. So some of you have already identified your energetic advantage. And if you haven't, I encourage you to use these questions to explore it more. I want you to ask yourself, what do people always thank you for? What do you do faster or more intuitively than others? What tends to drain you, even if you're good at it? What feels like your default setting? If you just wake up and go. And what happens when you stop trying so hard? Here's the thing. Your energetic advantage is almost always the thing that you overlook because it is so natural to you. You think it's nothing special, but it's everything because your energetic advantage is rarely the thing you worked for. It's the thing you were born with. Now, we can learn to work with it more efficiently. We can learn to harness it. There are ways that we can have our energetic advantage work more in our favor, but it's innately in you. Now, over the last few years, the really interesting thing that I noticed is everyone has these advantages, but not everyone was using them. And I started to ask myself, why? They don't take the advantage. Why are they not? Like, it's like having this like superpower and you're choosing not to use it, whether that's consciously or unconsciously. And here's why. Everyone here between the ages of 0 and 13, your energy is ruled by Mercury, which is you're identifying your own thoughts, the way you communicate. And this shifts at age 13. 13 to 26, when we are moving into Venus, the most important thing for us becomes connection. And that's why we sometimes don't use our energetic advantage because we fear we're going to lose connection because of it. Here's an example that I use to make it crystal clear ways that you have not been using your energetic advantage in your life. Okay, so imagine you're back being a kid, or this happens in my life today now as well. But let's just imagine that you're playing soccer and you're really good. Like you're better than all the kids your age. Your energetic advantage is you have like a killer right foot and you can score really well. Okay. So knowing this energetic advantage, you use it. But remember, when we're coded for connection, what happens? It's fun when we score a few goals. But once we have such a strong advantage that the score of the game starts to be 11-0, 12-0, 13-0, we notice or are afraid that people won't want to play with us anymore. We really want to play the game. But if it's not fun for others to play the game with us, they will disconnect. And then what happens is you and your energetic advantage are alone. You can score 1,000,000 goals, but if no one else is playing with you, it doesn't matter. So what we sometimes do is we switch our feet, i.e., we come out of our dominant energy, and in an effort to still play the game, we take away our advantage. So imagine you're this soccer player and you're just dominating everybody, and you're noticing that people are leaving the game. And you're wired for connection. You want people to keep playing the game with you. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to start playing with your left foot. And yes, this means you score less goals. Yes, this means that you're less dominant. Yes, this means that you no longer have the advantage. And even more importantly, no one even thinks that you have an advantage. But why? You can still play the game. And so I really want you to consider here, where are you sacrificing or not using your full energetic advantage in an effort to stay connected? Where are you, if you're right-handed, where are you playing life left-handed so that others aren't intimidated by your dominance? And I guarantee you have a situation or a place that this happens in your life. And now you have a choice that you're aware of it. Do you want to take the advantage or do you not? Now, I'm going to tell you, there's probably some examples in your life where connection is more important than the outcome. And I'll use a silly example from my life, which is playing the game of Guess Who. So I don't know if you've ever played this game, but essentially you're sitting across from someone. In my case, it's typically my 8-year-old. And you each take a person from the pile, and the object is to guess who the other person has. And you do this through a series of elimination questions. Except, here's the thing, I'm psychic, and I have taught myself to see through the card of Guess Who. So when my 8-year-old picks it up and puts it on her board, I can close my eyes and access that. And I could guess it with no other questions and be right 100% of the time. But the point, my objective in playing Guess Who with my daughter is not to beat an 8-year-old at Guess Who. Right? Why am I playing this game with her? Because of the connection. Because I can spend time with her. And because that connection is so much more important than my advantage in that instance, I choose not to use it. And so instead, I play the game. And I play the game going by the rules of someone who doesn't have an advantage. Does your person have a hat? Does your person wear glasses, right? So I'm not saying that in every area of our life, we always have to use our energetic advantage. But I am saying that I guarantee you there are places in your life where you are not using it. And if you were to use it, you will not lose connection. And here's how I know. Well, of course, there's myself. In business, I really hesitated to use my full advantage of being a psychic energetic strategist in the beginning because I wanted to remain relatable. I wanted to still have connection, obviously, with those around me. And so I really hesitated and didn't use my full gifts until I found my group of people who not only honor my gifts, but they celebrate them and they welcome them. They want me to show up with my full advantage because guess what? It benefits them because we're on the same team. And these are typically my clients, right? I also have seen this many times out in the field. And in episode 2, I'm going to introduce you to this fabulous, not only human, but an example of a leader who uses their advantage and still maintains very strong connection, which is my hot air balloon operator, Mike. And that was just a masterclass in this. So as we kind of feel into this and start to get curious about this energetic advantage, I'll share with you a little bit more about what you can expect from this podcast, and especially season 1. So in the podcast, I'm going to bring you stories from the field, real life examples, and real world energetic case studies. I'm going to bring you leadership codes, tools that actually work, behind the scenes examples, and conversations, like I said, with industry leaders that will open up new timelines and possibilities for you. But above all else, this podcast is going to teach you how to move through the world with energetic precision to create success that feels aligned instead of forced. And specifically, in season 1, we're going to talk about leadership. Why? Because 2026 is the year of the visionary leader. 2 + 0 + 2 + 6 = 10. 1 + 0 = 1. This is the year where identity matters more than strategy, where your energetic advantage becomes your leadership edge. And so every time I bring a leader on this podcast, I'm going to ask them something they've never been asked before, but what I really feel will benefit you to hear, which is, what is your energetic advantage and how do you use it? And you're going to hear about leadership not just from their resume, but from their frequency. And this is going to change how you see yourself and how you view the world. And before you even listen to any other podcasts, if you want to start identifying your energetic edge and advantage right now, begin with the quiz. So I've linked it in the show notes. It's freakishly accurate, and it will help you get a baseline of where your advantage lies and the first few action items and steps you can do to really go into it. So as I kind of alluded to before, in the next episode, I'm going to take you up thousands of feet into the sky, literally, because I'm going to share my lessons from a hot air balloon ride. And the moment that I watched this epic leader in the wild, and I instantly saw his energetic advantage in action. It is one of the best examples of embodied leadership I've ever witnessed. And so you do not want to miss it. So thank you for being here for the very first episode of Energetic Advantage. I really would love it if you shared this episode, if you tagged me, if you messaged me to tell me what landed. And remember, energy first, strategy second. Your advantage is already within you. Let's unlock it together. See you next time. Thanks for being here inside the Energetic Advantage. If today's episode opened something for you, share it, tag it, or send it to the person who popped into your mind. And remember, energy first, strategy second. Your advantage has always been in you. Now it's time to lead with it. See you next time.